true to my word with any covers that you and I have the privilege and honor of consulting together in a collaborative form. If I'm not familiarized with the piece that serves as a direct inspiration to said cover, I will take time as such with it to understand its heart and voice, so that I can best reflect on perhaps the points of deviation or similarity, not in a spirit of ranking which one's better of the other between original and adaptation, but in understanding the versatility and varied tools that come with many different artists who produce covers, and we've certainly analyzed a field of them here in our time together with numerous artists, especially in the European respect, many of which here have produced such great works, but understanding again the varied characteristics that an artist will employ as maybe similar to another or in deviation, and how works transfer their voice over time but still carry on that general field of reverence that is deserved for pieces that are so noteworthy in music history. And Samurai, though I don't recognize it, carries with it a sense of familiarity for me. Maybe it's the Michael Cretu name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I apologize if I'm not. Feel free to correct down below if so. It's recognizable to me on face, and yet I don't think I've ever heard the score before. But it's quite interesting, sort of as like a, as I understand, he's a Romanian-German-based singer. And with respect to the album that Samurai's incorporated on, I understand the genre concentration, and maybe Michael's as well. I don't know, broadly speaking, because this is the only number from him that I've ever entertained. Though, again, his name is slightly familiar for some reason. I can't shake that effect. Synthetic pop immersion, that definitely comes through with the tone of Samurai. It's a great piece in its original German form, which we're going to see replicated tomorrow, I'm sure, with deep reverence and faith, as we've explored, in fact, in the context of the COVID Aftermath sessions, it evolves itself with Mortemia's retooling, incorporating the collaborative guest presence of who's become a quick favorite of mine in our time together, and one that we're still evolving in discoveries on, Marina La Torracca, from who I know, and who you know, of course, in our time together, Exit Eden, or who's upcoming, her main group that she's been with for a couple years now, Phantom Elite. And I'm looking forward to getting to them. I already have their pieces lined up for our consultation together. You know me with Mortemia, right? I've spoken from the beginning, and having the honor of being introduced to him so many years ago. If you're not familiarized with his voice within the music sphere, a symphonic and gothic metal concentration of a Norwegian origin. And this is very much his solo project in instrumental respect. He definitely leads the material. And the voice of Mortemia specifically is becoming even clearer over each project as it develops, whether it be the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions, the predecessor here, to the currently unveiling COVID Aftermath sessions. Both projects I've really liked in whatever we've heard from it so far. We've analyzed the pieces to their fullest extent of what's available. In both respects on, I believe, entirely fresh impression witness, which we're doing today for Samurai as well. But considering as well the collaborative model, I really like this about Mortemia. Again, bringing on a typically European-based guest. And I say European-based with respect to who their associated groups are. And Marina La Torracca is from Phantom Elite, which I believe is based out of the Netherlands, at least in how I've seen them attributed, though she is, I believe, of Brazilian origin, and her accent is gorgeous. If you've heard Exit Eden, you know. And she's incredibly capable on range, can hit different variations of her voice, well placed in the symphonic metal atmosphere, in my opinion, which Exit Eden caters to. But we've seen her in plenty cover respects, and we're going to get to some of her original numbers as well, whether it be with Exit Eden. I'm finishing out, I think, my run-through of them today, and I can't wait for that, or Phantom Elite upcoming. I'm looking forward to each adventure, which you know we do with Mortemia, right? We use him as a networking agent, which is why I love this so much. Allow him to pitch the route of discovery for me to a new artist I've not yet met before, which is true to form for many European-based talents, either by, again, my own searching or your recommendations, and you provide many, and slowly but surely we get through each one. That's my intention. Anyway, we start with this being the fanfare performance that will launch us into future discoveries. Though with Marina, this is a bit of a deviation, right? I already know who this is. And that has been the case to a couple, well, I think just two entries on the COVID Aftermath sessions with respect to both Fabianani and Uli Perhonen. They were pleasant oddities and surprise oddities to the story that I gave in general form with the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions, having never experienced any of those names before other than... another slight exception, Zora. Anyway, I forgot about that one. I shouldn't have. That was the one that brought me in. Anywho, Mortemia as a work, I've really enjoyed any installment we've heard of this project. And I'm sure, in the cover respect, we've heard two entries so far. The Federica Lana collab that introduced us to the COVID Aftermath sessions in the beginning, that being the Madonna cover for Frozen, and then Krakavisa with Lindy Fahela from Wardruna. This is our third entrance. And with Marina La Torracca's beautiful placement and work within the cover sphere, I know this is going to be something great. And I've already, again, as I said, introduced myself to Samurai so I can best understand the split of voice, or maybe the harmony, right, that comes through. Again, we're witnessing this on Fresh Lens. We're going to examine it together, but synth pop gone symphonic metal style. I'm excited to engage with this one, especially for a piece as atmospheric and enamoring as Samurai is.
Samurai, samurai.
Yeah, it's split a bit. Different key, but it sort of has a light echo effect of the synth pop influences. Which, speaking of Morten Veland, you know, very much the visionary here, and some of his associated work, I'm thinking with Sirenia. This is an 80s piece, and that one I believe centralized its discovery in 70s tones, but interweaving, splicing different agents so effectively within symphonic metal work. He's very proficient at it. No difference here. This is great so far. The harmony in voice and energy is inescapably clear with this one. Imagined well, and stylized beautifully too, an echo of the Samurai image. The harder riffs give it that symphonic metal edge, but again, there's an explicit pop tone in this one. Every step in the structure of the choruses here, you just hear it. Great vocal leads in terms of transferring from one verse to another too. Again, Marina is incredibly talented, as you can see. I don't know if we've heard... That's a new layer. Are we going to see a reprise? Let's see. Feeds between notes here are really beautiful. Marina's voice flows very well, again in different extremes. And apparently unclean too. That's not something, as I said, I've heard before. Every second with this one just glows. And there's more isolation interwoven into this score than, again, we've seen and presented before in the context of the COVID aftermath sessions. I consider the percussive or guitar influences earlier on with respect to the riffs. And there's more breaths to this one. I find the differentiations of vocal layer as well so fascinating here.
Samurai, samurai.
As I said walking in, again, knowing Exit Eden, they have quite a wide range with respect to all their vocalists. And if you're not familiar with them, like, it's an internationally known supergroup in combination of 4 vocalists from 4 different countries. All are, well, at one time it was, now it's 3 because Amanda Somerville left the group, and she's such a great fit with them, as any artist in the Exit Eden catalog is, including Marina, Anna, Clementine. They're all a beautiful match. But studying Exit Eden's work at a fresh lens, as we, for the most part, did together earlier on with respect to Rhapsodies of Black, really gave me such a good window into the capabilities of Marina in how she interweaves her accent and range of application with said voice into either a melodic or operatic framework. She can definitely simulate that effect well. I'm thinking specifically of, which number was it? It's not as much, well, maybe light, like operatic twinge given the vibrato. I think there's a similarity there, obviously. I'm thinking of, yes, Paparazzi, the Lady Gaga cover, and the Chantel cover, I believe, where she really took center stage. And there were a couple others, too, that you really get to notice Marina's voice and how advanced it is. But listening to this, and there was something similar that we saw on Exit Eden, too, the interweaving of her natural accent into where the vocals are molded. Samurai has a beautiful path of track, in my opinion, with some fresh wrinkles, too. I did not know that Marina does an unclean extreme. I guess Phantom Elite really has some versatility and expression, even more so than I thought, given the Exit Eden window, but... You know, I love this. Again, I love the expanded perspectives we get from one tune to another. Maybe it's not an element necessarily utilized that often, and we get to appreciate it in a smaller window here. Again, with Phantom Elite, we're going to discover that for ourselves together whenever that date is, and it's coming soon. But Samurai, adapted by Mortemia, as I said, he's quite proficient again in the cover management. We've seen 3, considering the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions as well, testaments of this now going into the 4th. And on this album, 3, this being the latest of the entry, but that root of expertise within the Samurai construction in original form is inescapable for me, considering the score construction. The points of breath with the number, and there are, again, some very evident changes, right? Not as much... The pacing's a good match. It's simulated again well, but the key is definitely shifted into a more symphonic metal appropriate and gothic metal appropriate mood, where Samurai in original form, it's elevated to I believe one of the major keys, I think, or at least it skews that way. Synth pop, though, is a very different voice from symphonic metal. And yet we've seen with the work, again, Marina's a great guest to bring on in this context because her work with Exit Eden really does speak volumes. And Exit Eden's whole nature is to take original pop numbers, at least if they're not originalist pieces like the new record Femme Fatales has offered. They take noteworthy pop numbers from musical history, refit them into a symphonic metal lens, and they've produced some excellent work so far. So this is kind of a similar journey in a way, though the Mortemia voice is instantly recognizable with the heavier riff patterns. But the points of isolation with the score script-wise, that's new. Certain leads within, I believe it's the verses, there's those points of breath where I believe it's just Marina's vocals and the percussion leading presence. That's new. It's not necessarily an element that I've taken into account with Mortemia works that have evolved in presence here. In any of our time together, I don't think I've ever noticed that point of direct isolation. Maybe mood shifts with and changes in the tempo of the number and tone, but not, I mean, that variation's normal, but I've not really seen those points of break that are so explicitly stated. That's fresh. Samurai is quite an interesting song, I think, to recognize, at least from my respect and how I'm humoring it, and I'm sure many of you would agree. But, again, I'm not looking for necessarily a concurrence of opinion, because music as an art form certainly takes us in our own independent paths of considerations, but I find this one to be quite an interesting cover to examine. And the reverence to the original piece is clear. The building blocks from the inspirational number are evident, and they're well mixed into this new version and new tailoring of quite a noteworthy piece in the synth-pop extreme of, I believe, yes, as I said, Romanian-German respect. It's really an impressive work, again, adapted to the Mortemia mold, and I think it's a fitting work to be adapted here. It comes off well, and the synth pop language is not at all lost within the symphonic metal tailoring, which is why I say that Marina, other than being a capable vocalist on her own, is a great fit to this number with her work considered from Exit Eden. I see a harmony between artists and projects, in fact, that, again, like I said, it seems like a deserved inclusion to bring her on, and her presence here, mixing up the Brazilian accent, which is still quite evident, with German vocals. It's an impressive blend that is satisfactorily evolved on. It works really well, I think. Now, of course, I'll leave independent opinion to you if you wish to, of course, declare your own perspective and vantage point if you wish to, of Mortemia familiarity or as well Marina La Torracca, or lack thereof to both or either party. What do you think of this one? As I said, we've witnessed 3 covers so far that I think have evolved well in their translation of original pieces. All 3 of which, no, not Crocavisa. That was based on a folk song. I believe, what else is there? And I forget about that one. I remember that, of course, the Madonna one, that, funny enough, Exit Eden did that cover too. There's obviously a shared association. It's really funny to see all the parallels that come with Samurai because of Marina's appearance here. But that one being of pop origin, we have seen Mortemia successfully navigate those waters before of adaptation within pop to symphonic metal. And the same is true here with Samurai. I quite like it as a number. It's a bit softer in approach that mimics the tonality of the COVID Aftermath sessions well, though any piece is fitting, of course, to Mortemia's respect, and you immediately recognize his score if you're familiar. But this one really has a nice life to it, I think. And Marina is a great fit for the number in its adaptation to a symphonic metal sphere. It's a fitting one, and it's evolved beautifully in vocals and instrumental. I find that same effect of why I like the original Michael Cretu-based score. It's beautifully voiced here in this new form. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.